Well, hello and good evening. So, we made it to the seventh day of the live stream, and I hope you're excited for today because today, what we are doing is this is going to be a very fun, casual kind of a stream today. We are not focusing on a very deep topic. Had a very tiring day, had like lots of things to juggle around with and complete. So, having said that, what exactly is the topic for today and what are we diving into? So let's open up this document which I use in order to make sure that the live stream is on point and it's actually able to add some kind of a value. So if you all can hear me clearly, then type all good in the chat now. Okay, can you all hear me? Is everything good? How is the quality of the audio? Is there any kind of a disturbance? Okay, I guess everything is going good and we have officially started this live. So we are diving into two topics. First one, 10 cognitive biases every founder and marketer should be aware of and how you can actually start using these biases in your favor. Okay, and the second topic we'll talk about is there a way that you can start using these biases to create a process for content creation? How can you implement these biases in such a way that your content gets better reach and the eyeballs that it deserves? So let's start with the first one, which is very simple. It is the 10 cognitive biases every founder and marketer should be aware of. And before I actually start talking about this particular topic, let me quickly open up my tablet over here so that it becomes super smooth for you people to be part of the entire conversation. Okay, just quickly opening up things here. So these are live streams that are absolutely genuine, real, and shows what happens behind the scenes of working, creating, and building a business. Okay, so today's live stream, let's open that up and live stream day 07, and let me put that up over here. Now, I've just made a few changes to this particular design like this, and okay, cool. So let's jump into what are these different ways by which you fall into the trap of cognitive biases and how you can avoid the trap of your own mind and get rid of any kind of a cognitive bias that you might have. Okay, let's jump in straight into this amazing different topic. So our brains, they are absolutely logical, and it has, our brain has actually evolved through millions of years of evolution, and with a single goal. That goal is to survive. Okay, so we still insist to market our products in logical terms. Do you think that's kind of like weird? You can't be that logical, because people have evolved not just within the limitations of logic, but there is like so much of preconceived biases that people already have and they're carrying around. So what are these different biases that people are carrying around? What are exactly cognitive biases all about? We are going to dive into that, and we are going to see what exactly these biases look like. Now, if you see, cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that help us comprehend the reality around us. Every single second, our mind processes about 20,000 bits of information. However, we are only really simultaneously aware of 7. Okay? So, that's that's the kind of number. And cognitive biases help us make quick assumptions and get to the conclusion without much thinking. We live on autopilot 99% of the time. So here are the 10 cognitive biases. Let's begin. So the first cognitive bias that most of the people get trapped in, and you can start utilizing it for your own benefit as an entrepreneur or a marketeer, is the fresh start effect. Okay, now what is the fresh start effect? So every time you start something new, you feel so great about it, right? You're so excited and you're like, okay, I'm gonna totally rule the world and kill it and make something amazing happen. Every new year, everyone, like almost 50% of Americans, and I don't know how many number of Indians, but I am pretty sure it's more than 50% of Indians. Actually, I would just take a random assumption based on the American study that more than 50% of the people in the world start with a new challenge, a new resolution every new year. But do you know, out of those 50% people, out of the total population that have actually taken the resolution to start something new on the new year, out of them 80 to 90% fail within the first 1 month itself. They're not able to stick to their resolutions and their challenges even for a single month, which is like a very, very sad tragedy, but that is the reality. Okay, so anytime that you are going to start something new, you will be excited about it. So how can you start using this in your content creation and your marketing strategies? Okay, let's look into that. So you can say that, create a new account and explore and get some kind of like huge returns or rewards as a result of creating a new account on your platform. You can encourage them that they can restart their entire strategy. Let's say they are into content, so you can say, as a content strategist, you can tell them that if you are going to start working with us, we are going to help you start from scratch and reach the results that you expect to reach. You can also offer a rebrand. So rebranding also really helps, because it sets this tone in the minds of people, the audience, that this company is now evolving, and that is why they actually did a rebrand or a revamp of their existing brand identity. So this is something you can do. Okay, you can also encourage people on New Year. You can run some kind of an offer on the New Year or on their birthdays, because these are the two times that people generally want to start some kind of a new resolution. Okay, and if you are very personal on this particular time when people are actually taking up this resolution and starting something new, and if you are going to hit them personally, that also works in your favor, because they will then tend to remember you much better, and they will also be able to relate with your brand much better. So overall, the point is that whenever you are going to start something new, if you're going to target the fresh start effect, the fresh start bias, then you can invite people to start a new journey, begin something new in their lives, and that really works in the favor of the person who's trying to market it. Now, the second one is basically just a second. Okay, so the second one is humor effect. Okay, so it's the humor effect. Now, what is the humor effect? The humor effect is basically people will tend to remember your brand or your content or your story much better if there is any kind of funny, humorous element inside of it. Okay, so studies say that using humor in your brand can increase your conversion rate by 28%. 28%. That means if you're getting 1,000 conversions right now, you can increase 280 more new conversions just by adding or infusing humor into your content. Okay, why does this work? Because you see, there are different areas of the mind that get triggered and get activated when you use some kind of an emotional element, and especially humor tends to trigger that part in the best way possible. That is why try to infuse some kind of humor in whatever content that you're creating, and it will really increase the results that you were expecting initially. Okay, now let's get into the third one, which is the decoy effect. Okay, so what is the decoy effect? This is something that's very, very famous. It has been used by almost all the major brands of the world, and I'm pretty sure you have come across it, but you're not really that aware of what the decoy effect is. Okay, so what happens is, let's take the example of McDonald's, or let's take the example of any theater that you are going to. So what people are doing in this theater is they'll give you one bucket of small popcorns for, let's say, $5, and then they'll give you one medium sized for, let's say, $8, and then they'll give you the third one, which will be, let's say, for $9. Okay, so it's very obvious what you're going to think is, if the medium bucket costs $8 and the large bucket costs $9, and there's only $1 of a difference, whereas in comparison to the $5 and the $8, there's like a $3 difference, it makes sense to get the $9 bucket, right? But actually, in reality, they always wanted to sell you the $9 bucket itself. The reason that they introduced the $8 bucket over here was so that you would actually buy the $9 bucket. Okay, now this is something that we call the decoy effect, and this is how it works. Okay, I hope this diagram helps you understand it a little bit more better. Now, so basically, if I have to sum it up, the decoy effect is influencing people's choice between two options by adding a third option. Okay, so just by adding a third option, you were able to influence the choice that people were trying to make initially. Now, let's see the next one, which is basically stepping stones. Okay, stepping stones. Now, if you want to read this exact document on the 10 cognitive biases, you can find the same on Product Hunt. I will link it in the comments, and then you will be able to click on that link and you will be able to read much more in detail on these 10 cognitive biases on the website Product Hunt. Now, coming back, what are stepping stones? To embark on a complex journey, every step needs to be attainable. See, one factor that a lot of people ignore is everyone wants to be part of some kind of a journey. They want to go on some kind of a tour, an adventure, something which has a beginning and an end. Okay, but most of the people make it complicated for the people who are actually embarking on this journey. They make it complicated for either themselves, or other people make it complicated for them to be able to complete the journey. And if that is something that people will like, there's a possibility that if I get to know that I'll not be able to finish up this journey that I've taken, I might not even start it. Hence, it's important that every step of your journey seems attainable. If it is not attainable, you are more likely to not finish it at all. So there have been just too many failed referral programs because they positioned their first milestone to be really high. People got easily discouraged and like they never participated. And those who made the rewards achievable and tangible, they have seen that their numbers completely skyrocketed. Okay. And physical rewards are also very important. For example, people value getting a hardcover book more than they value an ebook. So that's also very important. So you can start implementing the stepping stones bias into your content and your marketing so that people can slowly start relating with your brand and start helping you get better conversions. Now the next one is inaction inertia effect. So what is inaction inertia effect? Okay, let's look into that. So when people see that you're giving away some big discount every week or every month, they tend to ignore all of those discounts completely, because the perceived value of your product lowers each time you're sending out these kind of offers and discounts, right? Because every business, let's be honest, is trying to keep their pricing in such a way that they already have some kind of a good margin even after giving heavy discounts. And if you are going to do something like that, just trust me on this, people are not going to be able to believe you in the future, and your perceived value of your brand will go down. So if you want to give discounts, do that, but do it, let's say, once a quarter, or whatever discounts that you're giving. Don't keep repeating those discounts again and again. Let's say you gave 20% discount to people who signed up in the month of January. Don't give a 20% discount anymore after 3 months or 6 months of January. Just make it so that you're giving 10% discount the next time. So what's going to happen is the people who got discount will feel valued, that they actually got something that others don't have access to, and the next people will have a fear of missing out, because of which the next time you're launching any kind of discount or an offer, they will jump on it and grab those offers that are running. Okay, so this is the next very important bias that people kind of abuse, but should be using very wisely. Now let's see the sixth bias, which is a very common bias. It's called foot in the door technique. Okay, what is this bias all about? So what's happening is, when you get a person to agree to a large request, it's not going to happen. When you ask someone, if you ask your friend, can you lend me $100,000, the friend is probably going to say no to you. Depends on what kind of friendship you have. But if you're going to ask your friend to give you $100, and then the next time you ask your friend to give you $1,000, and slowly gradually keep increasing this number, there's a very high probability and a high chance that your friend might end up giving you the money that you have requested them. Okay, so what's really happening here is, in McDonald's, just by adding "would you like fries with that" has resulted in an additional $28 million of revenue every year. Okay, that single phrase, when they ask "would you like fries with it," which is like a very small ask when you look at it, has completely changed the game for McDonald's. And if you see, even in Amazon, they have this small block just below your cart which says frequently bought together, and they try to bump up the total average order value or overall order value that you might have started with initially by a little bit of an amount, by adding some small items next to it. Okay, so be aware, don't try to scam people with this. People are very smart, so people are already aware of this, but you can utilize it and get benefit out of it as well if used wisely. The next one is so the next one is basically the risk compensation theory. Okay, so what is the risk compensation theory? Any ideas? What is the risk compensation theory? So people tend to be more careful if they feel a greater risk from taking a particular action. They are less careful when they feel they're protected by certain factors. So there are a few ways to making a product or service less risky by outlining a clear refund or return policy, offering a 30-day money-back guarantee, or offering a free trial or a paid trial of a very small amount. Okay, so if you start implementing something like this, and if you can reduce the risk, perceived risk from people, then there is a very high chance that people are going to buy from you or would like to work with you. And something that you can additionally incorporate in your copy wherever you're trying to sell something is free and no credit card required. So that way they are like, okay, even if I'm signing up for this product or service, there is no credit card information I'm giving, so I will not be just randomly charged by this company. Okay, so this is the next one that you can try, and it has really skyrocketed results for a lot of brands and companies, and you should start implementing it. Although I understand that there are some hassles involved when you reduce the risk for your clients. Let's say if you add a refund policy, and if you have a digital product, then there are chances that a lot of people will actually buy from you and then refund and get access to whatever you have just for free. But trust me, even after that, the overall numbers, the increase in the results of the overall numbers is pretty significant, and you'll be able to see that result. Okay, now the 8th one is basically storytelling effect. Okay, now what is the storytelling effect? So people prefer and remember stories better than facts alone. Okay, to show you the power of a story, let me tell you one very quickly. In 2009, Rob Walker bought about 200 objects from eBay for a total sum of $129. He then asked 200 authors to create a story for each object, and then Rob sold these 200 objects with included stories on eBay again. He sold them for a whopping $8,000. That's a 6,202% increase in the value. What was the different thing? Like, what exactly changed? Nothing changed. The only thing that changed was he attached a story to the existing products, and because of the story there was some kind of an emotion, and because of that emotion people resonated, and they felt some kind of a relatability with the product, and as a result of that, the value that Rob was able to gain out of it was so much more significantly higher than the initial numbers. Okay, so you can start implementing something like this if you're building a podcast, or maybe you are writing some kind of a copy for a landing page, or you're writing case studies or blogs. Whatever you're doing, whenever you're creating content, you can start implementing this storytelling effect, and it really makes a huge difference. Okay, but you have to also be aware that the story that you're creating, if you haven't started one, this might be a great moment to start. Remember the fresh start effect, so you can start implementing that as well. Now the 9th one is a very important one as well, and is being used by the entire government of India, UPI, and all of these different wallets. It's called the cashless effect. Okay, so people will be willing to pay more when they can't actually see the money that they are paying. So when you go to these stores to buy any kind of gadget, they say that you can just walk away with the gadget for free, and then you can start paying the EMI after 1 month, or it's completely 0% down payment. There is no down payments involved, and you can just buy the product, get access to it, and then later start paying. So what's happening here? even with UPI and these wallets, it doesn't seem like real money, right? Because of which people use much more and spend much more when they're using UPI apps and wallets. So the cashless effect is actually seen by the fact that debit cards are preferred payment method, followed by credit cards, and cash being the least preferred payment method right now. Okay, shoppers tend to spend 83% more when they're paying with card versus cash. So buy now, pay later options like simple Paytm, etc., are completely disrupting this entire industry by tapping into this particular bias of human beings. Now, the 10th and the last bias we are going to talk about is the sensory adaptation bias. So, what is this sensory adaptation? So in the sensory adaptation bias, what's happening is people ignore the things they get exposed to repeatedly. If your mom is going to be shouting at you or screaming at you for some kind of a mistake that you do, the more that she is going to repeat that shouting and screaming or abusing or scolding, the more insensitive you will become towards that, and you'll start ignoring it. So this is like super duper common. It happens very often if you see in families, in day to day lives of people. If you are exposed to something time and again, the mere exposure effect starts to build up, and because of that, a person will slowly, start ignoring that. But it can also be used in your favor. So if an average person is interacting with your brand more than 7 times, there is a very high possibility that they will start purchasing from your brand. So if you are not live on all the major platforms on social media, and if you are not making sure that people are reaching or interacting with your content at least on 7 different places, then you are missing out on a big conversion number. Okay, so if you can start implementing this, and whatever content you are creating, spread it in such a way that there are at least 7 touch points for your customers, you can start to see that there will be better conversions everywhere, and the overall numbers that you're expecting, you will be able to reach them much faster. So with that, we have completed all the 10 biases that we as founders fall trap of. Okay, so 10 biases for founders and marketers. So I hope you like this part of our live stream so far. And now for the second part, which is how do we actually take these biases and how do we build and develop a very simple 7 step process to produce 10 times better content. Okay, but I will talk about that after a quick 5 minute break. So I'll be right back, and I'll see you again in 5 minutes. Until then, enjoy and have fun. Drink some water, get some snacks. I'll see you back. You're watching? There's background music. Slightly. Is it disturbing? Hmm? You can hear me? Oh, nice. So I'm back, and now let's dive into understanding what exactly are the what exactly is the 7 step process that you can implement and start using to produce 10 times better content. Okay, let's begin. So there is a possibility that today's stream might not go on for an exact 1 hour, but let's see how long we can last with today's stream. So, the different steps that you can start implementing. Let me quickly take my tab here. Okay. So, the first step is that whenever you want to create any kind of content, then step number one, okay. So, step one, what is it? You need to define your audience. If you are not aware of who you're talking to and where they are and everything about your audience, there's a very high chance that you will not be able to resonate with them, you will not be able to relate with them, and they will feel like just some random videos playing and they will actually not even watch your videos, right? So the first step is figuring out what kind of readers or viewers you want to attract. And if you already have defined your ideal customer profile, use that. If not, then run a report on your best customers, figure out like where you made the most revenue, where did you have the highest margin, etc. And then look at the buyer's LinkedIn profile, okay, and write down demographic characteristics like their job title, industry, and company size. Okay, your goal is to interview almost 10 to 20 people who are a look-alike of your customer or prospects. Imagine these people as nodes on a graph. Okay, so you want to interview the nodes closest to your best customers, and this may not necessarily be the highest revenue generating ones, but it is worth considering that attributes like sales cycle length, product engagement, NPS score, and margins, if you have this information readily available. Okay, now what is the next step that you need to take into consideration when you're crafting any kind of content to make it 10 times more better? So the answer to that is send 10 to 20 customers an email asking for help. Okay, 10 to 20 customers email, okay, and ask them for help. So what kind of help are you going to ask them? Okay, I'll actually share like a very quick template with you, and you can find all of this information in the chat below. Okay, in the comment section I will be linking an entire document that talks about the 7 simple steps that you can start implementing to better your content by 10 times. So hi, and then you insert your version of the standard hope you're doing well kind of stuff. Okay, and then we're working on a new series of stories on our blog that aim to solve our customers most pressing problems. In order to figure out how to offer the most value and write something that you actually want to read, we are asking a couple of our favorite customers for help. So do you have 20 minutes in the next week or two to jump on a quick call and tell us a bit about what you would like to read? if you're if you have built good relationship with your customers, this should be relatively easy. And if you're having trouble or thinking about burdening them too much, then just offer maybe like a $50 to $100 Amazon gift card in return for their time. Okay, now coming on to the next step of how to craft content with a 7 step process to get 10 times better results. So the answer to this is interview your customers. Okay, a lot of companies ignore this. I have seen They don't ever talk to their customers. They don't try to figure out what exactly are their pain points. So that is exactly why you need to start interviewing your customers. Now, when you hop on a call, you can start with something like this. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me. As I mentioned in my email, we are working on a new series of stories on our blog that aim to solve our customers' most pressing problems. To pick our topics, we are asking some of our favorite customers what they wanted to read. In this call, I would like to learn what problems keep you up at night, what type of content you're currently reading, and what you're trying to learn this quarter. The goal of this interview isn't to figure out what you want to read. I want to know what you need to read. Okay? And here are a few questions that you can ask, example questions. It's Sunday night and you're watching Netflix. So, what are you stressed about? What are you worried about in the upcoming week? What are you trying to learn at the moment? What metrics are you and your team trying? What metrics are you and your team measured on that you're currently thinking about the most? What do you read in order to solve these problems or learn these things? What are your favorite publications, both for pleasure or for business? Are there articles or ebooks you reference often or frequently send to friends and peers? Okay, what is it about those pieces of topics? Can you send me the links to those pieces of topics? Who are some writers whose work you can enjoy reading? What do you read or watch for inspiration? Are there common themes among the writing or content that you find compelling? For example, Malcolm Gladwell for his ability to make any topic compelling with story. But I realize some people prefer a writer like Paul Graham who gets straight to the point also. What types of topics would you like covered in content created by our company? What types of topics do you want to be covered? Okay, so these are a list of questions that you can start using, and as a result of this you will start to have better customer interactions and better customer interviews. Okay, it's also important to note that interviewing someone is not the same as having a conversation with them. In a 20-30 minute call, it's important to get as much as possible. So sometimes that requires breaking the natural flow of the conversation, and there are a couple things that you can start to note and make use of. If someone isn't answering your question, try to politely interrupt. Okay, and rephrase the question. It's always helpful to give an example of what you're looking for. If you have everything from a question you need, move on to the next topic. Don't follow their comment up with something like, oh, that makes me think of X. Just ask the next question and move on. Ask people to be specific. Passing comments like, I definitely don't like this X type of content, but that's obvious. So anyway, blah, 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 can be illuminating. But if you press for more details, what you will see is you can say something like, sorry to interrupt, but can you elaborate on that point a little bit more? So if someone mentions a writer by the first name and you haven't heard of them, then ask them for the last name so that you can actually go and do some research later on. And then ask them why they like that writer in specific also. Okay, so these are a few things that you can start to implement as to become a better content creator. The next step is very, very, very important, and it is the step which is document your findings. Okay, most of the people, what they're doing is they're just on that Zoom call or a Google Meet or something of that sort, and they're just talking and they're taking the interview, but they're not making notes, they're not writing down anything important. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that either you're transcribing your call. Okay, there are a lot of tools available for this transcription. I think TLDV is something that I really personally like the most. And then in Google, not in Google actually, in Microsoft Teams, you have this Copilot enabled internally itself. So you can add Copilot and then you can transcribe all of your meetings. And from that, you can extract the most important notes or pointers. So that's one way of doing it. The second way, obviously, while you're talking, you can keep like a tablet with a pen functionality ready, or you can have like a small diary with a pen, and then you can start making all of these notes and you can make sure that you're not missing out any critical information. The next thing is the step number 5, which is turn your insights into stories. Okay, now how do you do that? See, by this point, your mind should be buzzing with a lot of ideas and a lot of stories also. But if not, here's a simple way that I'm going to share with you to turn the insights into a blog post. So take every frequently mentioned problem and fill in this blank, okay? How solved dash. Now take every metric your customer mentioned and fill in these blanks. How measures dash or how doubled dash in the time period. So what exactly are these three things? How solved, how measures, or how doubled in time. Okay, so what is the meaning of how solved, how measured, and how doubled? So you can say something like how ChatGPT solved the problem of content creation and brainstorming for the average creator. Okay, how measures? Something like how you can double your productivity by using Pomodoro technique. So these are what very simple hacks that you can start using and then convert your insights into stories. Now, step number 6. Any guesses? So, let me quickly tell you what the step number 6 is. Create a style guide and updated persona. Okay, this is super duper important. So what exactly is this create a style guide and updated persona? So there's a possibility that whoever you're interviewing, whoever you're talking to, your average customers, your most loyal customers, all of your customers and your audiences, depending on their age, demographics, psychographics, there will be certain kinds of colors, typography, and personality and voice that you need to carry in order to resonate with them, relate with them, and actually be able to give them some kind of a value. Okay, so that is exactly where you want to create some kind of a style guide, a mood board, okay, that has all the different elements that spark a certain kind of an emotional state. So you can actually start writing or creating your own style guides, but if you want certain templates, you can find a lot of free templates on Gumroad. I will try to see if I can link a few of these in the chat or comment section. Okay, and whenever you're documenting the subtle details, the intricate details that your customers are giving you when you're actually interviewing them, ensure that you include or incorporate those elements into your style guide, because those small nuances are the ones that will actually make a big impact with your customers and your results with your content creation. Okay, now the last step is the one that I want you to guess. Can you guess what the last step is? Okay, so the last step is basically write your stories, create your content, okay, hit the publish button, share it on all the social media platforms, and then ask all of these different people that you had interviewed for feedback. Ask them for feedback first, because they will be able to give you better details, and they will feel valued that, you know, by taking this interview you just didn't waste their time and your time. You actually implemented the feedback, the pointers that you collected in the interview, and using that you created something of value for them and for people like them. Okay, on social media, look out for comments that give you feedback as well. If some piece of content is performing really well, then by this point of time you will be aware of the fact that, okay, there is some kind of a value that is being created at this point of time, and then from there the ship is going to start sailing, and from there you just gotta turn the navigation a little bit here and there according to the wind, and then start flowing and reach your destinations. So that was about it, the 7 steps that you need to implement in order to improve your content creation process. Okay, step 1, define your audience. Step 2, have at least 10 to 20 customers and send them an email asking them for help. Step 3, interview these customers. Step 4, document whatever are your findings. Step 5, turn your insights into stories. Step 6, create a style guide or a persona. And step 7, write stories, hit publish, and get feedback, and go back in the cycle of this entire ideation to creation to iteration, and then back into ideation, and so on and so forth. So I hope this was a valuable session for all of you today. It is about to end now. We are coming to the final bit of today's live stream session. Okay, so I need a few pointers from all of you. I need your help here as well. Okay, I want you to type in the chat what are the topics that you would like me to discuss in the upcoming streams, because we have about 75 days of total stream, out of which I've already done 7 days, so we have still 65 plus days left. And I don't want to make this 65 days of content just about anything and everything. I want to be able to add value in the lives of my audiences and my potential customers and everyone who would get value from this. Okay, all content creators, entrepreneurs, people in the editing realm, and photographers, videographers, etc. So what I want is, I want your feedback. I want you to comment or type in the chat what are the topics that you are interested in. What are the topics that you would like me to create content on and help you improve your life in any domain, in relation to and within the context of entrepreneurship, marketing, design, and creativity. So drop your answers. Also, if you found today's live stream valuable, then please share it with someone who can gain value out of it. You never know, when you share it, you actually are gaining good karma, because that person who might be struggling with these kind of topics is going to absolutely give you some good karma, right, in return for whatever content you shared with them. And how long does it take? Just a small click of a button. So share it with someone, a content creator, an entrepreneur who might actually benefit from this. And then finally, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, followed us, then I think this is the right time to do so, because you will not miss out on any live stream that I'm creating going on forward from today. Okay, if you actually start following me. And one final request I have is, it's very difficult for me to understand if the content that I'm creating is actually of value or not, until and unless you show me some kind of support by either liking or commenting. So if you like and comment on my videos, that really motivates me and gives me the validation that I deserve, and gives me that direction and feedback telling me if I'm actually in the right path or not. So please like and comment on this video. And one final thing, all of the videos that you're going to be seeing on this channel in our live stream is going to be raw, unfiltered, and it's going to have like a lot of elements of mistakes, and it's going to be real basically. So I hope that you're able to understand that I'm creating these real videos to show you what goes on behind the scenes of building an agency, okay, and reaching our goals. So our goal with this 75-day live stream is to reach 5 customers, okay, to get 5 paying customers for Branding Bump by the end of this live stream, and hopefully get 10,000 followers or subscribers over our YouTube channel. If we don't reach these numbers, then I'm going to be keeping a big thing on stake. A huge part of my life has been Branding Bump. So If we don't reach these numbers, then I'm going to be offering a 50% discount on all plans of Branding Bump for the next 3 months, starting from Jan, if we don't reach these numbers. So there's a lot at stake here. You know, it takes a lot of effort, time, and energy to actually create videos for our clients and for you people, the audience who's watching it. And giving a 50% discount really makes it so that we are not even breaking even. Okay, sometimes we are creating content in a loss, but I'm going to do that if we don't reach these numbers. And if you have any kind of um, relatability with our content, with me, my story so far, then I would request you to help me reach those numbers so that I can actually make the impact that I've set out to make in this world. With that, I would like to say it's 12:01 a.m. here in India, and I will see you soon today itself, but in the daytime after the night's sleep. And until then, you have a good night's sleep if you are in India. If you are anywhere else in the country, in the world, not in the country, in the world, then hi, have a good day, have a good time, and I'll see you again in the next live tomorrow, today, day number 8. Okay, until then, I'm Shubham, your host from Branding Bum. uh, I hope you had enjoyed this entire live stream. Take care, bye bye, good night.